Welcome to the Psychology and Physical Training channel. Have you ever wondered how psychologists unravel the intricate tapestry of the human mind? Welcome to this intriguing exploration of different methods in psychology. First method is the scientific method in psychology. It is a systematic and objective approach used to understand mental processes and behavior. The scientific method is a structured series of steps that psychologists use to investigate human behavior. It involves 5 key steps: asking a question, conducting research, forming a hypothesis, testing the hypothesis through experimentation, and finally, analyzing the results and forming a conclusion. The journey begins with a question, a curiosity that nudges the psychologist's mind. This is not just any question, but one that is specific, measurable, and grounded in existing research. It could be something as simple as, does listening to classical music enhance cognitive performance? With the question in hand, the psychologist embarks on the second step, conducting research. This involves delving into existing studies and literature to understand what is already known about the topic. This step not only provides a foundation for the study, but also helps refine the initial question and avoid duplication of research. The third step is the formation of a hypothesis. A hypothesis is an educated guess about the relationship between 2 variables. In the example of classical music and cognitive performance, the hypothesis could be, listening to classical music will improve cognitive performance. Next comes the exciting part, testing the hypothesis through experimentation. Psychologists design experiments to control for variables and collect data. In our example, they might ask participants to complete cognitive tasks with and without listening to classical music and then compare the results. The final step is analyzing the results and forming a conclusion. This involves statistical analysis to determine if the results are significant and if they support the hypothesis. If they do, the psychologist can conclude that classical music does indeed enhance cognitive performance. To summarize, the scientific method in psychology involves asking a specific, measurable question, conducting research to understand what is already known about the topic, forming a hypothesis, testing this hypothesis through experimentation, and analyzing the results to form a conclusion. The beauty of this method is its objectivity and replicability. It ensures that the research conducted is not based on subjective opinions, but on empirical evidence, and it allows other researchers to replicate the study to verify the findings. This systematic approach is fundamental to the field of psychology, helping to peel back the layers of the human mind and understand the underlying mechanisms of our behavior. It's a journey of curiosity and discovery, of asking questions and seeking answers, and it's how we continue to expand our understanding of the complex world of psychology.
Coming to the second method of psychology is introspection. Have you ever wondered what lies within the confines of your own mind? Imagine if you could peel back the layers of your consciousness, unravel your thoughts, emotions, and sensations like threads on a loom. This, in essence, is the realm of introspection in psychology. Introspection, as a concept, is as old as human consciousness itself. It's the art and science of observing and analyzing one's own thoughts and emotions. It's a journey inward, a deep dive into the unexplored depths of the human mind. The roots of introspection can be traced back to the ancient philosophers. Socrates, with his mantra, "Know thyself," was an early advocate of introspection. However, it wasn't until the late 19th century that introspection was formally recognized as a method in psychology. Wilhelm Wundt, often hailed as the father of modern psychology, was the first to establish introspection as a scientific method. In his laboratory in Leipzig, Germany, he trained individuals to analyze their own thoughts and feelings in response to stimuli. These introspective reports formed the basis of his research, and thus began the systematic study of the human mind. Yet, introspection has not been without its critics. Behaviorists like John B. Watson argued against introspection, claiming it was unscientific and subjective. The tide, however, has turned again. With the rise of cognitive psychology and neuroimaging techniques, introspection is back in the spotlight. Today, it is seen as a crucial tool for understanding the human mind, alongside more objective methods. Introspection holds a significant place in psychology for several reasons. For one, It allows for a first-person perspective on mental processes that cannot be observed directly. It also offers a way to explore the subjective experience of consciousness, an area that is notoriously difficult to study using objective methods. Moreover, introspection can play a pivotal role in therapeutic context. Techniques like mindfulness and cognitive behavioral therapy often involve elements of introspection, encouraging individuals to examine their own thoughts and feelings to promote self-understanding and growth. So to recap, introspection is the process of observing and analyzing one's own thoughts and emotions. It has ancient philosophical roots but was formalized as a method in psychology by Wilhelm Wundt in the late 19th century. Despite criticism, it has persisted and evolved, proving invaluable in providing insight into the human mind and consciousness. The power of introspection lies in its ability to shine a light on the inner workings of our minds. It offers a unique perspective, a window into our own consciousness that no other method can provide. It is a testament to the endless curiosity of the human spirit, an ongoing quest to understand ourselves from the inside out. So the next time you find yourself lost in thought, remember, you're not just daydreaming. You're engaging in a practice that has been at the heart of psychology for centuries, a practice that continues to shape our understanding of the human mind. You're introspecting, participating in the grand tradition of self-exploration and discovery. It truly is a journey within, a voyage into the uncharted territory of the self.
Coming to the third method, which is the observation method, why is observation such a critical tool in the realm of psychology? This question, seemingly simple, unveils a world of understanding about how we perceive, analyze, and interpret human behavior. Observation, in the context of psychology, is a research method that involves watching and recording the behavior of individuals or groups to gather data and draw conclusions. This tool is not as straightforward as it might sound, as it requires a keen eye, an analytical mind, and an ability to discern patterns in behavior. Imagine the world as a grand stage and every individual as an actor, each one playing their unique role. The observer in this scenario is akin to an audience member, carefully watching the play unfold, noting every subtle gesture, every nuanced expression, and every spoken word. However, this audience member is not merely a passive spectator, but an active participant in the drama of life, deciphering the underlying scripts of human behavior. The observation method in psychology does not merely involve watching people. It is a systematic approach that requires careful planning, precise execution, and in-depth analysis. It begins with defining the research question or objective. What behavior or phenomenon is the psychologist interested in studying? Once the objective is clear, the observer decides on the setting. Will the observation occur in a natural environment or a controlled setting? The next step involves choosing between participant observation and non-participant observation. In participant observation, the observer becomes part of the group they are studying, blending in to gain a first-hand experience of the group dynamics. In contrast, non-participant observation involves the observer maintaining a distance, watching the group without becoming part of it. The observer then records the observed behavior, either through written notes, audio recordings, or video footage. This data forms the backbone of the research and is later analyzed to draw conclusions. To ensure the validity of the observations, the observer must remain objective, unbiased, and consistent in their approach. They must also consider ethical guidelines, ensuring that the observed individuals are aware of the observation and their privacy and rights are respected. In summary, the observation method in psychology is a powerful tool that allows psychologists to study human behavior in a real-world context. It involves systematic planning, careful execution, and thorough analysis. The observer must remain objective and unbiased, and always respect the ethical guidelines. This method, while seemingly simple, opens up a world of understanding about human behavior, providing insights into how we think, feel, and act. So the next time you find yourself people-watching at a cafe or a park, remember, you are engaging in a practice that is central to the field of psychology. Who knows, you might just uncover a fascinating aspect of human behavior that's been hiding in plain sight.
Next method is the experiment method. Have you ever wondered how psychologists unravel the mysteries of the human mind? How do they confirm or debunk theories about our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors? Welcome to the fascinating world of psychological experiments. Dive into the heart of psychology, where the experimental method plays an indispensable role. It's a systematic, scientific approach that provides a way to explore, explain, predict, and sometimes even control behavior and mental processes. The first step in the experimental method is observation. Psychologists observe behavior and mental processes in a wide range of settings. They might observe children at play to understand social development, or they might observe patients suffering from anxiety to understand the effects of stress on physical health. Next comes the formulation of a hypothesis, which is a testable prediction about how changes in one variable might influence another. For example, a psychologist might hypothesize that increased exposure to violent video games leads to increased aggression in teenagers. Then, we have the test stage. Here, psychologists conduct experiments to test their hypotheses. They manipulate one variable, known as the independent variable, to see how it affects another, known as the dependent variable. In our example, the independent variable is the exposure to violent video games, and the dependent variable is the level of aggression. Following this, the psychologists analyze the data obtained from the experiment. They use statistical methods to determine whether the results support or refute the hypothesis. Finally, the psychologists draw conclusions based on the analyzed data. If the data support the hypothesis, they might propose a theory. If the data do not support the hypothesis, they might modify the hypothesis and repeat the experiment. Now, let's summarize the main points about the experimental method in psychology. Firstly, remember that the experimental method is a systematic, scientific approach to understanding human behavior and mental processes. It involves observation, formulation of a hypothesis, testing this hypothesis, analyzing the data, and drawing conclusions. Secondly, always bear in mind that the goal of the experimental method is to explore, explain, predict, and sometimes even control behavior and mental processes. Lastly, recall that the experimental method involves manipulating one variable to see how it affects another. This is a critical aspect of the experimental method that sets it apart from other research methods in psychology. So, the next time you read about a psychological study, you'll have a better understanding of the rigorous process that led to its conclusions. It's through the experimental method that psychology continues to shed light on the complexities of the human mind and behavior.
Coming to next method is the survey and case study method. Have you ever pondered about the inner workings of the human mind? Have you ever wondered how psychologists gather information about thoughts, feelings, and behaviors? Well, today, we dive into the world of psychology and its fascinating methods of investigation, particularly focusing on the survey and case study methods. Imagine a net cast into the sea of human experience, capturing a wide array of data and perspectives. This, in essence, is what the survey method in psychology represents. It's a research technique that collects data from a predetermined set of people, known as a sample, which is then used to infer conclusions about the larger population. But how does it work? Well, simply put, a survey involves asking people questions. These questions can be about anything from their eating habits to their opinions on social issues, and can be administered in a variety of ways, such as through online questionnaires, telephone interviews, or face-to-face interactions. Now, while the survey method gathers broad data, it doesn't delve deep into individual experiences. This is where the case study method comes in. A case study is an in-depth investigation of a single individual, group, or event. It's like taking a magnifying glass and focusing it on one particular aspect of the human experience. Case studies often involve a combination of methods such as direct observation, interviews, and psychometric tests. They allow researchers to explore complex issues that might not be easily addressed through other research methods. The case study and survey methods are two distinct yet complementary tools in the psychologist's toolbox. Surveys provide a wide net, capturing the breadth of human experience, while case studies offer a deep dive, focusing on the depth and complexity of individual experiences. Together, they provide a comprehensive picture of human thought, behavior, and emotion. To recap the main points, the survey method in psychology is a research technique that collects data from a predetermined set of people. It's like casting a wide net into the sea of human experience, and allows for broad understandings of behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. On the other hand, the case study method is an in-depth examination of a single individual, group, or event. It's like focusing a magnifying glass on one specific aspect of human experience, allowing for a detailed understanding of complex issues. So next time you find yourself pondering the mysteries of the human mind, remember these two essential research methods. They're the tools that help psychologists unravel those mysteries and deepen our understanding of what it means to be human. And if you feel this video is helpful, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Psychology and Physical Training channel. Thank you for watching.